Eclipse by Kimlip, Singing in the Rain by Jinsoul, Love Cherry Motion by Choerry. Odd Eye Circle was a moment in K-pop that was truly unprecedented and has yet to be replicated. If you want to know how LOONA got big, how LOONA became the phenomenon that they are, you start here. Last we left off, the LOONA project was underway and had achieved its first subunit, 5 girls in. Up until this point, they had explored a variety of concepts and musical genres, ranging from the elegant to the bombastic, but always remaining firmly on the family-friendly side. They have stuck closely to their 1 girl per month rollout, only taking 1 break in the schedule and making up for it with 2 releases during April. But in May of 2017, everything changed. With almost half of the girls rocking a harmlessly cutesy or daintily feminine aesthetic up until now, observers of LOONA have been lulled into thinking the whole project was going to be that way, meaning Kimlip's Eclipse came as an unexpected curveball, completely changing the vibe. And what you probably want to know is, what made everyone obsessed with this song, and this girl? Much was made early on of LOONA's budget, including an oft-circulated but now disproven figure of 9 billion won for the whole project. And up to this point, LOONA had certainly backed up that claim, with 7 different trips to different countries to film music videos. 5 for the girl solos, and 1 apiece for the subunit and repackaged videos. Going from all of that to Eclipse is like watching Mount Fuji vanish right from its skyline. There is maybe $5 being spent on this 1 MV. Ironically, this actually ended up benefiting this release, and from Eclipse onward, LOONA would become known for having some of the most aesthetically pleasing music videos in K-pop, with Digipetty's magic shining through more brightly when forced to work with what they had. Previous members of LOONA had been identified with inoffensive, crayon-esque colors: bright pink, yellow, green, orange, and pale pink. Kimlip, however, was associated from the word go with a vibrant red. The video emphasized that, with exactly 1 set to speak of, that being a circular, concrete amphitheater located in Gimcheon, with unpainted and undecorated walls and floors, basically a backdrop of blacks and whites that made the red of Kimlip's various dresses stand out, even more so with the lighting choices washing out all the shadows. The concept for the video, if you can call it that, is extremely minimal. It's basically a choreo music video wherein the camera is constantly spinning counterclockwise around the center individual, with sparse shots here and there of an owl, or a solar eclipse, or a neon red halo around Kimlip's head. This makes it an extremely easy music video to watch, because it's entirely about the girl dancing to it with no distractions, putting all the emphasis on her visuals, dancing skill, and extreme charisma. Eclipse comes from singer-songwriters Daniel Obi Klein and Charlie Taft, and is an urban R&B track that mixes bass and synth in a lovingly hypnotic way. Not only that, but Kimlip was challenged with a sultry song and pulled it off excellently, with Jeong making excellent use of Kimlip's naturally high, nasally, stretchy voice. The girl's foremost talent is dancing, but she is nearly as skilled as a vocalist, which is a rare combo. Whenever you come across girls who are beasts in dancing, they usually don't come packaged with vocal training, and the reverse holds true. You can observe that pattern even in LOONA, with all the girls you could reasonably call main vocals being weaker dancers. Kimlip is the rare idol that breaks that mold. And all of this came together in a way that lit not just the K-pop world, but the online spaces of the West on fire. This was the beginning of LOONA's journey as a major generator for hallyu, exposing a crap ton of music fans to K-pop and breaking Korea through to the West in a big way. I hesitate to describe the wild success of Kimlip and her solo as viral, because it breaks the patterns I associate with virality. In most examples of viral K-pop, there will be that one member or that one dance move that the song is associated with from its initial boom, and once the virality fades, the subject quickly passes. Neither one of these applies to Eclipse, wherein it was the whole song generally being lauded and loved, and the subject most certainly did not pass. Even today, despite many K-pop artists releasing songs with the same title, this music video is still the one people think of when they think of Eclipse and K-pop. Not only did many people who had never heard of any K-pop before enjoy the song immensely, but it even made it into an official NASA playlist to celebrate the 2017 solar eclipse, which was the first sign of major liftoff by the LOONA brand. By all appearances, Kimlip's Eclipse wasn't viral at all, just incredibly well received. Such was the craze that even K-pop listeners who had largely criticized or ignored LOONA up until then were forced to admit that yeah, Eclipse kinda fucking slaps. Of course, if it had been just Eclipse, maybe the sensation might have passed. but it didn't because after Kim Lip in May came Jinsoul in June.
Hey boy, empty caramels.
Kim Lip had signaled a bold new look and direction for the group LOONA, and Jinsoul took that energy and ran with it. Her solo, Singing in the Rain, quickly became nearly as iconic and beloved as Eclipse, if not more so. Platinum bleach blonde was the new in look, and Jinsoul quickly became known as one of the premier faces for K-pop idols with blonde hair, with her signature reggae-esque waves, large eyes and expressive face, and being somewhat taller than average for Korean women, the last of those emphasized by heels, mesmerizing the masses. Singing in the Rain comes in much faster and more aggressively than Eclipse, or indeed anything LOONA had done up to that point. It's a future-based song that takes dizzying twists and turns almost throughout the whole song, but instead of sounding messy, it all comes together as this unique kind of art. The first verse has two parts. The chorus comes in with a powerful beat drop, the second verse is accompanied with a rap, the second pre-chorus is switched up to a soft piano accelerando, the second chorus is extended with beautiful melisma, and the bridge goes soft before switching to a reprise of the first verse, before an incredibly impactful final pre-chorus and chorus. The whole song is just under 4 minutes long, and serves as a showcase of crazy ideas to the mentality of, how can we make this song more than just a song? Hold on for just a moment. See this emblem? I'm gonna stick this in certain parts of this series of videos. While I recommend LOONA's music as a whole in general, I made this little doohickey to say that the song I'm talking about is a GOAT, one of the all-time greats. This symbol is specifically for songs you need to hear in order to open up your K-pop experience. When you see this symbol, pause the video and go listen to the song, especially if you've never heard it before. Compounding this is that I think they found the one girl that could have pulled it off. Jeong Jinsoul, that's Soul with a U, was trained at DSP Media, meaning she could have become a member of KARD, and as such has the excellent vocal training that DSP prioritizes, on top of having successfully completed a degree at a university for musical studies. To say it shows is an understatement. This girl can sing for her goddamn life. Jinsoul has a very thick, husky singing voice, and has both a powerful chest voice and a very wide range, being flat out one of the best vocalists in the K-pop industry as a whole in my humble opinion, with haseul and another LOONA member we haven't talked about being neck and neck for the same title. What's more, Singing in the Rain eventually rose to be, for a short time, LOONA's most watched video, and it's obvious why. It takes the aesthetic cues from Eclipse and runs with it, retaining the dark backgrounds and heavy contrasts and the neon lighting, while filtering everything in this deep blue suffusion and showing dance scenes on water. For a rookie, Jinsoul blends into the scene incredibly well, serving huge amounts of face and generally flexing godlike charisma as Kim Lip did before her. To say that audiences responded well to this is another understatement. Kim Lip, the firestorm that had overtaken Twitter and YouTube, now had an equal and opposite in Jinsoul, with a similar look but a completely different vibe. What's more, by this point it's June, aka Pride Month, which probably had a lot to do with how successful LOONA was at spreading among online denizens. As of this time, LOONA is officially off to the races, becoming the new favorite artists for a new wave of K-pop fans. Also, Jinsoul, having previously been shown off early as a guest rapper on VV's solo single, was able to take full advantage of LOONA's sudden attention, with two memes. The basement, from which she was said to have been kept in a la Sia and Beyonce's basement, because she was not the next immediately revealed member after VV, and the headbang that went viral after her subunit debut. With accompanying remixes. I haven't mentioned B-sides yet, but it's important to note that they also follow this trend. Kim Lip's B-side, Twilight, produced by Cha-Cha Malone, was a universally beloved hit for her soulful performance of the song. And yes, combined with her title track of Eclipse, this did spawn Twilight Saga-related memes. If anything, Jinsoul's B-side duet with Kim Lip, Love Letter, was even more well-received, and today is held up as one of the iconic B-sides that prove LOONA's quality of music. It is actually the song that got me into LOONA, and now I'm stuck in this hell for life. Previously, LOONA solos that had choreography were given choreography practice videos as view goals, but the last of these to be posted was Love and Live, with VV not receiving a solo choreo version. This occurred again with Jinsoul, which produced some head scratching, especially as the editing of the Singing in the Rain music video highlights some really good dance moves. Choreography versions of these songs were filmed and were eventually shown in terrible quality at an exclusive event, but never officially released, because Blockberry are hateful sons of bitches. However, orbits linked in with LOONA on VLive were shown a different version of her solo song, wherein the rap was done by heejin instead. Allegedly, the alternate rap was going to feature Kim Lip, hence the red platform and lighting, but she was nervous, so Haseul and Heejin also recorded them, and they ended up going with heejins. I say allegedly because there is exactly one LOONA TV episode to this effect, and Blockberry have famously tried to sell Heejin as a rapper at every turn. I have doubts her rap was recorded or chosen for the legitimate quality of it, as most orbits hearing it for the first time agreed it was rather subpar. Heejin did that amateur rapper thing where she over-enunciates almost every syllable in an effort to sell the image, when a smoother delivery frequently does so better. You'll hear more about my suspicions of schism between Blockberry and Jaden later. For a couple of years, the missing choreography version of Singing in the Rain was an especially sore subject among orbits, even when later members also didn't receive choreo videos. This calmed down a bit after some of the exclusive event scenes were leaked, with some people agreeing that the entire choreo generally looks less impressive than the more flattering edits of it spliced into the music video. After jinsoul debuted in June, the third girl and the one to round out the next subunit were riize in July, going by the name of Choerry. Choerry broke several patterns that had emerged when jinsoul followed Kimlip. First, she was 16 as opposed to the prior two's 18 and 19, noticeably younger than they were. Second, she debuted as a brunette, when everyone was sure the third member of the incoming 3-member unit would have the same blonde hair that seemed to be their signature. Third, her debut was, unlike that of the previous two girls, not seamless, and was in fact very bumpy. Choerry encountered problems from both sides of the aisle, the Korean side already entrenched in K-pop, and the new wave of Western fans that had just been exposed to K-pop through Kimlip and jinsoul. We're going to address the latter, then the former. A lot of what Choerry went through, including lessened attention on her solo and accusations that she couldn't sing, simply stemmed from the concept of her release. Fans endlessly hyped about Eclipse and Singing in the Rain were surprised to find that Love Choerry Motion, at least in the first minute or two, differs vastly from their hard-hitting approaches and is more on the light-hearted side. It's much more akin to the releases from the girls of LOONA 1/3. Make no mistake, Choerry packs the same deadly charisma as Kimlip and jinsoul, and this is evidenced by the trick up Love Choerry Motion's sleeves, the twin beat drops. The song gets all the way through the verse, pre-chorus, and chorus before changing tone completely and diving into a hard-hitting beat drop with overflowing bass. A simple ad-lib of plays during a dance scene draped in shadow, and then it's right back into the bright cutesiness of the second verse, like nothing happened. The same thing happens after the second chorus, with a more aggressive beat drop with harder instrumentation and leading into a fierce bridge segment. One thing that quickly becomes apparent when you're dealing with orbits is that they pay entirely too much attention, and simultaneously not enough attention. Make no mistake, Love Choerry Motion's beat drops are excellent splices, and are themselves evidence that LOONA were working with the best via monotree. A fresh, youthful summer song that suddenly gear shifts into a completely different beat drop sounds like parody, not to mention a recipe for disaster, but it works to incredible effect due to the combination of monotree's knowledge of their craft and Choerry's insane star power and versatility as a performer. Alas, a lot of impatient first-time listeners lost out on this and summarily declared Love Choerry Motion a lesser song because they only listened long enough to hear the cute parts. Not only that, but there's a specific high note Choerry sings at 3 minutes and 25 seconds in that irrevocably damaged the fanbase forever, because orbits mistook the voice for Kimlip's. It isn't her voice, and in fact, fans were so insistent that she and jinsoul were on the track that a fan actually asked Kimlip about it at a fan sign once, only to be told that no, she isn't on the track. It sounds a little like her, given that it's a rather nasally done note, but on the whole it sounds like Choerry if you've paid any attention to her voice over the last few years. But the misleading first half of the song combined with that aspect of the latter act caused Western newbies to LOONA to demote Choerry to assist character, if you will, and she lost out on a bit of support for it. On the Korean side of things, the few fans LOONA had, which was not a lot, were in open revolt. Allegedly, the reason they began boycotting Choerry and closing her fan sites was that they were against what they perceived to be the sexualization of a minor. This really doesn't hold water when applied to this song specifically, especially as the most suspect thing about Love Choerry Motion is a single whispered word that doesn't really imply sexuality of any kind. Not to mention that this was the same K-pop group in which adorable Yeojin was singing about consent, was it not? But looking at the wider situation with LOONA under Blockberry, I have to admit that people that were suspicious might have had a point. Kimlip's Eclipse was definitely on the erotic side, with a very strongly implied sexuality to the music video and choreo, something a bit much for an 18-year-old, and even Kiss Later had weird shots of Yeojin playing the piano with her bare feet. And in the future, later member Olivia Hae would be charged with doing more sexualized choreo despite also being 16. The only reason I really have to suspect that this might not be entirely on the up and up as a complaint against Love Cherry Motion is my admitted conception of Korean K-pop fans as people who exclusively raise a fuss about things it makes no sense to be upset about. The part where they expressed distaste that LOONA were now throwing their lot in with the Western fans of K-pop sounds about as likely, and that this was all happening well before K-pop decided Western money was the hottest thing ever, and that the sound and direction for LOONA's second unit's worth of girls appeared to have been pre-planned well in advance, rather than just abandoning the Koreanness of it all for profit. Either way, Korean fans weren't happy. But going on about all of this at length makes it sound as though Choerry was taking a legendary beating that she would never recover from, and that's really not true either. Thanks to Choerry's power as a performer getting through to enough people, not to mention the concepting and art direction of her solo song matching the excellence of Eclipse and Singing in the Rain, Choerry made it through the fire while riding enough of the Kimlip and jinsoul fanbase to attract a fairly decent measure of her own fans, becoming, if not as hyper-popular as they were, then at least still more popular than any of the first 5 girls by a wide margin. To the point, the choreography version of her solo actually has more views than the hotly anticipated Eclipse choreo. There was also the power behind Choerry herself drawing fans. Whereas Kimlip and jinsoul's on-screen personas were unbothered queens serving slay, and they were eventually revealed to be somewhat awkward dorks, Choerry's behind-the-scenes personality quickly became beloved by the fandom, and she became known as the Queen of Positivity, or Vitamin Choerry. Choerry's attitude was not necessarily super energetic like Hyojin or later member Chu, but just more confident and ceaselessly positive, unable to be dragged down by anything. Fans very easily took a shine to her, and this helped her lift off among the fanbase, especially when combined with her on-screen duality. What's also important to note is that if Vivi started up the first hints that the Looniverse was actually a thing, Choerry kicked it into full gear. Although Kimlip's and jinsoul's solo do have their own versions of the story, albeit one you have to be very tuned in to both the wider lore and the distinctions of the Jipetty art style to really get, Love Cherry Motion is different. It tells a clear story from start to end with explicitly supernatural elements. Choerry is vacationing on Jeju Island with Haseul and Hyojin when she eats a cherry on a cake, gets knocked out and possibly hallucinates a dance sequence, and then wakes up in another dimension. In said dimension, her reflection comes to life in mirrors and gives her another acid trip Choerry, after which her location changes again. There's vibrant fields, technicolor greenery, weird portal-like rooms, and 3 moons in the sky at the end, signaling the union of the latest 3 girls of LOONA as one unit. One of the teasers for that unit even came captioned with, "The secret of the odd world Choerry met will be revealed in 12 hours. In short, LOONA theorizing officially took off with a special kind of fervor at this point, and fans went crazy constructing set theories and stringing together details from various music videos to paint a bigger picture. This would become one of the biggest draws of the fandom and being in orbit, and still is today. I am a LOONA theorist myself. And with these 3 girls delivering 3 different kinds of serve, it was time for the next unit. Only in LOONA would an entire section of the video be reserved for a single teaser. Prior subunit LOONA 1/3 had had its own teaser, primarily in hinting at the new member that would feature in it. But Reveal for newly named subunit Odd Eye Circle is an ethereal, ambient track placed over a video that is trippy and unfocused, with shots of the sets of the prior 3 music videos now shot from different angles, or featuring different characters. All 3 girls wear white dresses and stand very still, as if captured in slow motion, out of time with the world around them. Kimlip stands in one of the empty green fields from Love Cherry Motion. jinsoul stands in the same field colored purple, and is then shown standing in the living room of the house on Jeju Island, placing a cherry on a cake that Choerry will later eat. Choerry, with both girls to either side of her, now stands at the side of a small pond, the vibrantly colored sky visible behind her in the reflection. All 3 girls look up at the 3 moons of their signature colors. Laced throughout are shots of close-ups of items or body movements from the solo videos. In between all of these, the girls are shown in a dark void, lit by neon light. At the end, the camera rotates around them in turn, and a blue half-crescent glow shows up in the left eye of jinsoul. The same halo in red shows up in Kimlip's left eye, and finally, Choerry's right eye starts to glow the same way. This teaser sent fans into a chaotic spiral, as it was clear that damn near every facet of LOONA was now going to contribute to their wider lore, and the spacey and mysterious vibe of the new unit was an excellent way to make that lore even more interesting. Everybody wanted to know what was up with these girls with the glowing eyes. What do they want? Are they even human? What was to become of who they once were? And so, after a month break to prepare for the new unit properly, Odd Eye Circle debuted at the tail end of summer in September of 2017 with Girlfront, a play on the word girlfriend meant to describe the lyrics of the song and their message. Per these lyrics, the song is sung from the perspective of a girl willing to break stereotypes and be forward, asking the guy out rather than waiting passively for him to come to her. The song serves as the title for their debut mini-album, Mix and Match, and true to that title, the song's composition and vibe serve as a median average of those of the 3 solo videos. Confident and intriguing like Eclipse, upbeat and fast-paced like Singing in the Rain, and also fresh and fun like Love Cherry Motion. The choreo itself consists largely of an original choreo augmented with bits and pieces of dance from each member solo, and they fit together oddly well. The same goes for the lyrics, which include self-references all over the place. If I were to describe Girlfriend as a singular entity, I would call it the epitome of a fresh summer bop. The song's bright energy comes through cleanly, and the chorus is one of the longer, more detailed ones from LOONA, to its benefit, cycling through each member's voice and using melisma in its second half to give it an extra addictive kick. There's a beat drop post-chorus that leads first into a rap segment, led by choerry into a jinsoul verse, that blew the wigs off of every orbit watching and is still fired to this very day. And after the second chorus leads into a dreamy, soft bridge laden with angelic vocals. When the bridge trails off on Kimlip's voice and the opening instrumental kicks in again, you know it's going to end on a good note, and it does. Jinsoul does a triple high note kicking off a final chorus that's up a semitone or two in between its hooks and brings the song to a complete form. The song ultimately went, if such a thing exists, chronically viral. Its usage in more than one meme spread each meme individually across the internet, linking tons more as yet uninitiated music fans into K-pop through exposure to LOONA's music. There was all my brain cells coming together to spell necessary, and then there was the Professor Talks remix of the song dubbed over with the already viral meme, Livin' Lavish.
It must be said, it must be said, but that is okay. Just be who you are. I'm happy, you not. I'm happy, you not.
And more. There was that Polyphia song that used the same sample and caused even more crossovers. It just wouldn't die and always came back, and was especially well known on TikTok. Not to mention those LOONA theorists that started writing essays after Love Cherry Motion, they went even crazier, because Girlfriend's music video is packed with interesting developments and freeze-frame lore crumbs, not to mention established motifs. There's 2 versions of Choerry, mysterious strangers who may not actually be present, Hyunjin is there for half a second, the girls are borrowing Haseul's truck, and Choerry is tracking people down with stickers on a map. It's crazy, and we get more split-second glimpses of those glowing eyes. What does it mean? What does it all mean? But what cemented Odd Eye Circle's place in the halls of K-pop fame was not the music video or the lore, but the fact that their album was, quite frankly, insanely good. You know those crossovers that are just so bizarre, completely unexpected but somehow genius? The meshing of 2 very different things does something that just works so well. Like, in video game terms, it's Bioshock being a fusion of Art Deco aesthetics with dystopian settings. Or The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild mixing post-apocalyptic high fantasy with futuristic technology. That's what Odd Eye Circle's sound was, a combination of R&B and dream pop. 2 things that you wouldn't think would mesh well together, but somehow were the perfect combination. I haven't seen anything like it before or since. The album starts off with Odd, an intro titled with part of the unit's name, which had been helpfully explained as intended to resemble 3 overlapping moons. Odd layers some mischievous vocals over a very twinkling version of the sample that runs through Girlfriend in the background, sounding like it's building up to a beat drop before abruptly ending with an echoing giggle from one of the girls. After Girlfriend, listeners are treated to Lunatic, spelled exactly how you think, which lit fans up since that's what they've been calling themselves prior to being dubbed Orbits. Lunatic is dream pop, which is not only an uncommon genre in general, but extremely uncommon in K-pop. If you listen to it and are reminded of a sped-up version of Grimes' Kill V Mame, you're not on the wrong track, especially as Jaden, Jeong, and Monatree studied artists like Grimes specifically while creating the album. Guitar creates the bulk of the instrumental, and the girls all sing it in higher voices, which are tuned to the extent that it can be difficult to tell them apart. It's got this excessively bright, spacey quality to it that really defines Odd Eye Circle, with the refrain of "I don't really care now" rounding off the pre-choruses and choruses and giving it this unconcerned joyfulness. From the moment you hear that first set of strums, you're smiling and jamming through the song, and when that bridge comes and you drop straight into this pretty, starry space, it's just beautiful. After Lunatic comes Chaotic, which was widely agreed to be the song on the album, that bitch if you will. It was said to have originally been intended for a boy group under Blockberry Creative called 8x8x8, more on them later, but was given to Odd Eye Circle so they could show off their technical vocal skills, and was said to be the proof that Odd Eye Circle could sing quote-unquote mannish music, which isn't untrue as their album tracks are noticeably less overtly feminine than that of One Third. Chaotic is another R&B track, which starts off slow and works its way through a few samples to set the ambience. The instrumental is extremely tempered to let the girls shine, and it quickly comes into its own with a fast-paced pre-chorus and a killer hook in the chorus of "Chaotic, my heart is off time." For me, it's either this song or Starlight that best describes Odd Eye Circle as singers in their best form and what makes them so good. The last song in the mini is Starlight, which is similar in that it starts off slow but comes into its own very quickly. It's the closest thing Odd Eye Circle has to a ballad, similar to Chaotic with its restrained instrumentals, but relying much more heavily on a spacey, dreamy vibe that I absolutely love. Even the rap is slower paced and in tune with the music. The harmonies are beautiful, the runs are beautiful, the high notes are beautiful. It is flat out just one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And now you start to see why this album is so respected. There is just not one weak song. Ask 5 different people what their favorite track off this album is, and you'll get 5 different answers. Not only is there no filler or weak link, but all the songs are just so damn good it's difficult to pick a clear favorite. Well, I say there wasn't a weak link. In between Mix and Match's release and its repackaged release, the girls put out an English version of their song Lunatic, and well, nobody's perfect. The English version of Lunatic sucks. Like, it really does. The lyrics don't mesh well to the beat of the song, and very clearly come from someone who is trying to write English lyrics without speaking the language. This would eventually become known as one of the major weak points of creator Jeong, who was up there with Soyeon for trying to force the English to work rather than learn the language or hire a translator. It was still sweet of them to do it. It was a very touching gift to their Western fans, who were now skyrocketing LOONA to mainstream attention and fueling their success, but the English sucked. But Odd Eye Circle weren't done yet. As with One Third before them, they would take their mini-album with its straightforward concept and add to it with a repackage later that improved on that concept and completed their vision. October 31st, Halloween of 2017. Max and Match drops, and baby, it was obsession at first listen. Max and Match went above and beyond for this album, adding 3 new songs, an extra mashup between 2 prior ones that essentially served as a remix, and the English version of Lunatic, if you got your hands on a limited version, bringing the total number of songs from 5 to 9. I believe in some places it was actually released as a full album, but I can't find any official word on this. Continuing the crossover vision that brought us here, Ad is a dream pop song, remixing the music used for the reveal teaser into an even spacier piece that comes with its own beat drop, which slapped so hard I actually used it as my ringtone for a short time. The new title track is Sweet Crazy Love, where Odd Eye Circle's girl crush charm is on full display. It's another alternative R&B track from Charlie Taft, who, if you'll remember, had also done Kim Lip's Eclipse, as well as the B-side Puzzle off of Choerry's single album. As with Sonatine, it's much more orchestral than its predecessor, while still most definitely being a pop song. The song's got an energy similar to Eclipse while taking advantage of the range of voices the full unit offers. Jinsoul's insertion of "Blow a Kiss on My Cherry Lips" is almost as iconic as the song itself. What Sweet Crazy Love might be just as known for, if we're honest, is its absolutely crazy music video, completely off-sync from the sweet sound of the song. It's almost a horror movie, shot entirely in high-contrast black and white, and featuring settings such as a back alley, a parking garage, and a subway train car, all abandoned but for the girls dancing in them. This, complete with unsettling imagery flashing across the screen every so often, gives the whole thing the impression that Odd Eye Circle interrupted a nightmare someone was having to shoot a music video. Of course, color starts to appear in the third act, after which the visuals shift and become even more striking. LOONA lore was just as integral here as always, with various images and items being studied closely by orbits to figure out what they might mean, most prominently the focus on the girl's eyes and the neon signs placed around certain sets. Kimlip herself pointed out that a Mobius, one of said words lit in neon, was rather important to the story of LOONA, after which orbits looked up what a Mobius is, and the commonly agreed upon theory was that it was a visual representation of the Looniverse itself, and the various dimensions within. I myself don't endorse this too much, as the Mobius concept has dropped off sharply in the years since. Most significantly, both the fancy description of the video on YouTube and the actual music video reveal it to be a prequel, and that after the events of the music video, Kimlip is shown strolling up to the set of Eclipse as the credits roll. Sweet Crazy Love did not go as memetically viral as Girlfriend did, but in exchange it's probably remembered as having aged better, not subject to the weariness of the song as some people feel in relation to Girlfriend, and it's now remembered as one of the highlights of LOONA's discography as a whole. Of course, we're not done yet, because there's more. The new B-side finding itself on the repackage is called Uncover, and it is yet another GOAT from LOONA. Delving again into dream pop, Uncover is much more low-key than Lunatic, more in line with Ad's dreamy space pop vibe. The specific electronic sounds they use to create this track are a special kind of addictive, and despite there being more vocally impressive songs in their discography, Uncover is made what it is by Odd Eye Circle's soft delivery. The chorus is one of the most addictive I've heard, even among a string of killer choruses from this subunit, and that bridge is just heavenly. Something about the way that high note from Kimlip is layered over the from choerry that typically leads into a chorus, only to instead drop into a dance break that then makes way for a proper final chorus full of harmonies and ad-libs. Uncover actually has a choreo attached, which was only shown off at one of those exclusive events for paying orbits in Korea. Allegedly, Odd Eye Circle choreographed it themselves, which I don't necessarily disbelieve outright, but I say allegedly because this is one of those times where Blockberry's antics set my alarms off. Remember how I said that I had my doubts that Heejin's rap was simply chosen for quality, to be applied to jinsoul's solo? And remember how earlier I had said I could see how someone would be upset at Blockberry for sexualizing minors? Well, Uncover is a rather sensual song for 16-year-old choerry to be singing, even if it's mostly implied rather than outright stated, and the choreo that was leaked to the world included near splits, stomach to floor, and leg lifts from said 16-year-old. Kimlip and jinsoul, sure, let the grown girls do it, but a 16-year-old? I can and will disdain the idea that choerry was responsible for that insertion, just as I disdain DSP Media's claim that entirely too horny for minors song Macaroni Cheese was written by the members of Young Posse. My suspicions of this fudging of the truth were, at least in my perspective, confirmed when Uncover would be performed live many years later by Odd Eye Circle after their comeback under Modhaus, wherein the dance break still includes floor work, but of a noticeably more tame approach. This isn't to say Uncover is a hated song, of course. It's probably one of the most beloved songs of LOONA outright, and it's a very pleasant experience if you aren't focused on choerry. A fan cam of jinsoul at a live event even went viral for her, well, serving for her life, unkempt hair and all. This was around the same time as a fan cam of choerry performing Sweet Crazy Love was going viral too. Odd Eye Circle really were just that captivating as performers. But moving on to the rest of the songs, because yes, there is more. After what would typically be the end of the album with Starlight comes Odd Front, a remix of Girlfront with the dream pop elements from Odd inserted and in much higher prominence, and with a much different energy throughout. The beat drops and bridge especially feel like much different songs, perhaps better if you were to be bold. There's also aforementioned Lunatic's English version, which we already went over. This leaves the album at 9 tracks, a record high for LOONA as a whole. And if I said Mix and Match was a stunning display of quality highly uncommon to K-pop, then that goes double for Max and Match. Orbits who were there for its release commonly regard it as peerless among K-pop, and even outside of Orbits, many listeners rank it as one of the finest K-pop albums out there. The reputation this work and the artists that created it has amassed is no joke. People really fucking love this album, and that's why it's continued to sell even in the years after Odd Eye Circle had stopped promoting. Mix and Match and Max and Match together sold over 10,000 copies in 2020 for no reason at all except positive word of mouth. This, when album sales for any given release typically fall off sharply after the first year for quote-unquote new-goo artists like LOONA. Big numbers get attention, but longevity makes its own point. Odd Eye Circle were famous because of a large variety of factors coming together. The hype gained from their solo debuts, combined with an upbeat hot girl summer concept set in Los Angeles, along with the genius combo of Western-friendly R&B and sparklingly uncommon dream pop, all contributed to their impact among listeners. However, today Odd Eye Circle isn't just looked upon as a great example of music, but pretty much the standard for 3-member K-pop groups. Their only competition in this respect is After School's Orange Caramel unit. 3-member units are uncommon to K-pop, especially with the prior era having focused on groups with large numbers of members, and the death of that era leading into the trend of 4-member girl groups, as people try to recreate the success of acts like Mamamoo, aespa, Brave Girls, and Blackpink, and by extension 21. Whenever the rare 3-member girl group debut does happen, that group will immediately be compared to Odd Eye Circle. VVZ, formerly of G-Friend, are never beating those allegations, but Mamamoo of Twice are getting it too. But the reason these girls created the impact they did is likely because they are, in a word, extraordinarily skilled performers. There is a much stronger accumulation of raw talent and skill in Odd Eye Circle than in the average 3-member group, or indeed in many K-pop groups as a whole, with K-pop producers often failing to recognize that you cannot create a good trio out of the same members that you would create a 7- or 9-member group with. The reason I can say this is because it's on display in the balance Odd Eye Circle had as a unit. Each member is above average in at least 2 skill sets. Kim Lip is one of the finest dancers I've ever seen, yet is no slouch on the vocal side and can sing beautifully. Jinsoul is a powerful and highly skilled singer, yet can also rap. Choerry can rap well enough to lead for Jinsoul, yet her dancing is almost on par with Kim Lip's, and the same goes for her vocals. Contrast that against VVZ, where Sinbi is very clearly the dancer and Eunha the vocalist, with Eumji just doing whatever those two aren't in the moment. Or against Mamamoo, whose most common criticism is that singing is not their strongest quality. Of course, let no one think that in praising this aspect of Kim Lip, Jinsoul, and Choerry, that I'm by comparison downplaying the talents of the early girls of LOONA. Concept, music, and execution, as I detailed above, have quite a lot to do with why Odd Eye Circle got popular and 1/3 didn't. Nevertheless, there is still something Odd Eye Circle had as performers that others didn't that helped them in the K-pop sphere. Stage presence. The number one thing said about Odd Eye Circle by K-pop fans while they were promoting is that they didn't seem like rookies, but rather veterans of the industry. It was very easy to confuse the solos while they were being rolled out from May to July for those released from long-established groups, because the girls were selling them so well. There is a powerful charisma in these girls, a certain it factor that simply couldn't be found in just any idol. They may have been nervous during their first times on stage, but by God they weren't going to let you see it. The poise, the confidence, these girls were simply born to be performers. But all too soon, this era of the golden age of LOONA was over with, and it was time to welcome a new member and new era of LOONA.